This project focuses on athlete burnout in Gaelic Games. Despite common misconceptions that athlete burnout is synonymous with overtraining, burnout is actually a psychological syndrome characterized by three key dimensions: physical and emotional exhaustion, a reduced sense of accomplishment or feeling that you're not achieving your goals or potential, and sport evaluation or a sense that your sport doesn't hold the same meaning that it once did. However, while these three dimensions are generally well accepted, we know quite little about their onset and how and why they develop in relation to each other. In addition, although a range of different variables have been associated with burnout, no comprehensive model of the factors impacting the dimensions of burnout over time exists. We aim to fill some of these gaps in the literature through this PhD project. Specifically, we want to improve our understanding of the temporal relationship between the three dimensions of burnout. How do they develop in a specific order? This will enable us to identify what stage of the burnout process an athlete might be at. Secondly, we want to identify the key factors that both predict and protect against the development of athlete burnout. Our project focuses specifically on the experiences of Gaelic Games players. We want to explore the challenges and rewards that these players associate with their sport and how these experiences may relate to feelings of burnout. In-depth insight into players' experiences provides important context for the quantitative data. So why are we focusing on athlete burnout in Gaelic Games specifically? Some initial analysis I conducted as an undergrad points to higher levels of burnout in GAA players compared to data from other sports, and it has been argued that some unique characteristics of Gaelic Games might put players at an increased risk of burnout. Looking at a weekly calendar here, we can see that the training schedule of a player may not look like too much physically, but we must consider the first aspect of Gaelic Games that may make the experience of these athletes unique. Players across all levels are amateur, meaning they must always balance their sport with work and/or study commitments. Secondly, Gaelic Games players are often required to represent multiple teams simultaneously, such as club, college, county, playing both hurling and football, again meaning they must balance further commitments. In addition, the lack of a designated off-season in Gaelic Games mean that many players do not get time away from sport throughout the year. Finally, it has been argued that the importance the games hold in Irish society may create a sense of obligation to play. This was highlighted in an existing qualitative project. We can also see it from some examples across the media. But why is understanding burnout in Gaelic Games important? We often hear that sport is something that can bring us great joy and be a real positive in the lives of players. However, when athletes start to experience feelings of burnout, their sport can actually start to have detrimental effects, both on and off the field. Burnout is associated with reduced performance levels and dropout from sport, as well as physical illness and depression. Furthermore, because these feelings are associated with sport, sport can't be used as the release or escape it may once have been. We hope this study can improve the understanding of burnout in Gaelic Games among key stakeholders, including the associations, players and coaches, and can help to inform interventions aimed at preventing or reducing the impact of burnout in these sports. So we know what we want to do and why we want to do it, but how exactly did we set out to answer our research questions? We designed a study that has a number of key phases. The project began with a systematic review of the literature, through which we aim to identify key factors that have been examined in relation to athlete burnout in team sports specifically. This phase is complete and is now being developed into a paper which we have submitted for publication. The review informed the development of an online questionnaire which included measures of athlete burnout and associated factors, namely perceived stress, sport motivation, sport commitment and motivational climate, as well as a range of demographic variables. We recruited male and female GAA players through social media and contact with clubs and county boards. The online questionnaire was then distributed to the same participants at 6 time points, with the aim of tracking the variables of interest over 2 seasons. However, one thing we did not plan for, like everyone else, was COVID-19. The initial lockdown in March was announced just 3 days after we opened the fourth phase of data collection. Although not part of our initial plan, we saw this as a unique opportunity to examine the impact of a complete break from organised sport on athlete burnout and associated factors. We also felt it was important to try and understand how athletes perceived and utilised the lockdown period. Did they view it as a positive or negative? Did they take a break or keep training? We added these additional questions into phase 5 of data collection along with our original measures. As such, we were able to stick to our research plan, and we have now completed data collection on burnout and associated factors across 6 time points. We are also now aiming to understand the unique impact of the lockdown on these variables and are currently working on a paper around this. We've also recently submitted a paper focused on some of our early quantitative data. In addition to questionnaires, we've also conducted interviews with a number of participants via Zoom with the aim of exploring their experiences of burnout in Gaelic Games and further exploring the impact of lockdown. Finally, with data collection complete, we are now working on integrating the findings with the aim of developing a model of athlete burnout over time. I'll leave you with a picture of Ireland lit up by all the GAA clubs across the country. We hope that our work can reduce the risk of any light burning out in Gaelic Games players. Thank you for your time.